This is the Team Objection podcast for April 29th, 2021, episode 481. For the people watching on YouTube, which is the preferred way to just, absorb the show these days, you might notice something a little bit different. Primarily, you can see us all a little bit better, which could be an improvement or could be a deterrent. I'm not sure which, but we're all here. Dave is back. Here he is.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm liking this because I used to be able to point at people, and now I'm like having to this is the only way I can point, but I can only point at Shaun. I can't point at
That's
Chris.
the way it should be.
Well, I might put you in the middle. We've always gone alphabetical,
Nice.
So in theory it should be Shaun on the right side. But
I don't need to be the center man.
Cool.
What does Dave?
I do require to be the center of attention, like your entire episode of last week that I wasn't there, where I was the center of attention.
We complimented Dave the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, here's the thing. Dave is the most beige color, so I think he does deserve maybe some center, highlights. Otherwise, he's going to go invisible. Is he even here right now? I don't know. He's on the edge. No one can see him.
Is my skin beige color? Because
your personality's camouflage, though.
Oof. Maybe I'll just switch him right now. Fuck it. I'm just switching you now.
Go ahead and
here come floating heads. Don't worry about it.
Go ahead and
it's
switch
fine.
it because I'm making a list. That's why I'm on my phone.
We're doing it live.
I'm making a list of all the games that are coming out in the next 2 months that I care about.
That's good.
Boy, it's a doozy.
Oh, is it? Okay. I was going to say, how long is that list? Because
No, it's a super doozy.
Okay.
You want to Pokemon Snap, Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, or whatever they're calling that one.
Yeah.
For Phoenix Wright, Skyward Sword, Nier Replicant, Disgaea 6, Mass Effect Master Collection, whatever they're calling it.
Mm-hmm.
Ninja Gaiden, same thing. It's a collection re-release. And then probably the creme de la creme, Resident Evil 8. And I probably missed some. There's probably more in there that I didn't even hit on yet.
I like that 3 of yours, of that list of 9, so a third of your list is just remakes of old games.
Yeah, but we kind of talked about this, I think, off air, maybe on air. Who the hell knows anymore? I think they should be doing more of that right now. If the pandemic's really hampering the efforts in trying to produce new games, why not go back to the well right now? If that, it still takes work. It's not like it's nothing, but hey, if original IPs are going to be too difficult trying to do it remotely or whatever, then hell, jump into the remakes. I'm all for it.
It's actually perfect. It's the perfect timing. For what I had a really good reason, and then Dave did. I looked up, and I'm not where I was anymore.
Yeah.
And I thought about that. No one can get a new console anyway, is what I was going to say. So we might as well just play old games again.
Well, not to mention, even if you do have a new console, if you have a PS5, what game do you have to play on it? At all?
There's a few. Demon Souls, and then a bunch of Series X games that are technically on Xbox One that I'm waiting to play on next gen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I look at I was literally in Target because my son spent some of his birthday money on a new Mario game for the Switch, and I was walking through looking at the PS5 games, and I saw Spider-Man, NBA 2K21, and MLB The Show 21. That's about it.
No, Demon Souls. You love Demon Souls.
Yeah, totally.
I actually heard it's really good.
Looks pretty.
I love that racket that you have going on, that you make your son buy games for you. That's pretty awesome.
No, he begged me. It's Mario 3D World. He begged me to buy.
I mean, sure, yeah.
I
you want to use your. It's like Amazon paying their customers in Amazon gift cards.
I have not even played the game yet. He has only been the one playing it. I am almost done with Phantom Strikers, so that's what I've been focused on.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have him believing that too, Dave. I'm telling you, it's brilliant. I'm trying to compliment you. I'm trying to give him a compliment.
Just like last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, the entirety of the episode last week.
I mean, you forced our hand. You weren't here, so we could either ignore your presence completely or just prop you up like a cardboard cutout and proceed as though nothing happened.
Yeah. Would you rather me ignore you or throw darts at your face?
Emphasis on cardboard.
I mean, dartboards are made out of a cardboard-like substance, so.
So, Dave, I have a dilemma here because I've been trying to do a mini review of Bravely Default 2 for weeks, and I'm done. Now I beat it. It's over.
Okay.
It's completed.
Okay.
I'm I can't decide if I want to recommend it to you or not.
So I've heard about it. I am interested in it. This again runs into my quandary of, do I need to play the first one?
Not at all.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
It's actually better if you don't, probably.
Probably.
Okay. I mean, I this is like an internal struggle for me to not play the first one.
No, I get it,
Mm-mm.
but like this one mechanically does everything the first one does, but like better, but not like built. So Bravely Second, like built on the first one with like all these weird new mechanics that like took the first one and then like went overboard. This is like just returns to like the pure ecstasy of their design. There's no like weird bullshit where you have to buy like money for superpowers like you did in Bravely Second.
So is this one a like first person shooter, or are we talking
No, Bravely
BioShock?
Second. Does Bravely Default sound like a shooter to you?
I meant like a first person, like even like BioShock is a first person perspective type of thing. Like that type of feeling from it.
So this is maybe a con. It's pretty hard. It's pretty like traditional JRPG.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Old
Great.
school 2.5D sprites, that kind of
Gotcha.
stuff.
So it's a con, but it's beautiful. So that's a pro. Like the artistic, it's not like hyper realistic graphics or anything, but like the art direction's really good.
Mhm.
The story's pretty generic, but I think I mentioned this. It does go to like some interesting, sort of dark, sort of intriguing places, and but that like the gameplay is so good. It's turn based and it's a job system.
So you're selling me on this
Mhm.
already. And turn based is
That's
Sounds
why I
good.
thought it could be good. So I'm like, the JRPG thing, sometimes you're okay with it. Other times it's like, it's too much. But turn-based, weird turn-based because the game is named after the system where you can either basically save up your turns or go into debt on your turns. So you can go up to debt 4 times, but then that's 4 turns where you're doing nothing.
Mhm.
So, you know, it's strategic in that way. You probably need to, you don't want all your characters all at once to go in debt 4 times and then sit around for 4 turns just getting hammered by the enemy.
Unless you kill all the enemy on that.
In
Mhm.
regular battles, you're probably braving almost every time. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
But
that's,
then in a boss fight, do you overextend if you're trying to risk getting to the end of it, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like it sounds like another layer on top of the turn-based, which is a good thing. And also, screw you for saying I can't add something to a conversation in which I don't know anything about it, because I do that all the time.
Wow.
Do
So
you?
there.
Deep cut.
Do you?
Yeah.
So, so the another pro is it's the job system from like Final Fantasy 5. Is that going to be one that you know?
I feel like I've touched the very beginning of that game, and that's it. Like I don't really.
What's a job system
I
that
don't
you
think
would
you
know?
played Tactics.
I mean, again, that's one I played for a little bit. So I mean, Tactics has the grid, and like you set all your commands first, right?
10-2 kind of has a job system.
By changing your dress.
Spheres.
So basically, Dave, you have your character in a job. They learn experience and they learn new abilities. The best part of jobs is if you learn a passive, you then have the option to equip that passive for all your other characters. So it's a great way to get synergy. You might have a spellcaster, but then a physical class that you would not associate with them necessarily has an ability that saves you MP when you use it every time. So it might be a reason to go down that path.
So I mean, it sounds like you can customize a lot more than like a Final Fantasy X or Persona 5 type of thing. Okay.
Super like you can make wildly different builds
Yeah.
for each character, let alone your entire party composition.
Man, that is simultaneously awesome and drives me nuts because I get obsessive compulsive about that when I'm like, okay, let me chart this out. If I go this way, what do I have to do and how? And then I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. And then I reboot. So I've like gone down the choose your own adventure thing where you're like holding 6 pages, and so I have like 10 save states of like, well, I went down this path. What if this is bad? I have to be able to go back.
Yep.
Mhm. All right, so here's my question, and this isn't to derail it because we can still talk about Bravely as well, which I have a couple more things I want to say. But is that what he should play next, or is Hades what he should play next?
Or is Witcher 3 what I should play?
You know,
next?
and that's a debate. I maybe even said next. I didn't necessarily mean that. I just mean like, do I recommend this as like a game that he should play seriously?
Probably.
Or is there too much other stuff? And there might still be too much other stuff, but I'm thinking the things that Dave likes, sort of being strategic in a turn-based RPG, like seems to hit a bunch of buttons there.
For sure.
Without going like full-blown tactics RPG, which I'm not saying Dave's opposed to, but it's not quite his wheelhouse.
I still think Fire Emblem Three Houses, like, eventually, but that would be a harder recommendation, I think, than this.
I agree.
Well, I don't know, the tactics type games, for some reason, something about that just doesn't work for me. I don't know if it's just like the fact of like my guy's just standing there, but I have to wait for his turn to move 3 spaces to then attack, and then
Yeah, it's wildly different than a JRPG turn-based.
I know you're being sarcastic, but it's more of it's more like a chess match than anything, I guess. I don't know. There's something about it.
I'm sorry, my dog is the loudest toy in the world.
It's not like it was a squeaky bed.
You should do. I contend that you just haven't played a good tactics game yet. But that aside,
Yeah, take that, Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah.
How much did you play on Final Fantasy Tactics?
Not a ton. I really didn't get very far. So
that one's good, but that's tough. Like now, I played a game that's very similar to that one recently, and I couldn't get into that because it's too archaic.
Yeah, I mean,
nowadays.
I played that while I worked at GameStop when no one was in the store because I grabbed a DS and shoved Final Fantasy Tactics on the Game Boy Advance into the system, and it's like, all right, well, I'll play something.
You played Final Fantasy Tactics Advance.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different story.
Ah, okay.
That's not tactics.
It had the name in it. So, okay, Shaun's gone. Cool.
Yeah.
Can we talk shit about Shaun for the next half hour while he's gone?
That's fine. Yeah. So anyways, I don't think Shaun should be allowed back on the shit.
So the other thing though, what's nice, Dave, is you don't have to be afraid about like going down the wrong road because there's a lot of little systems in there where you can switch paths pretty easily. There's things that give you the JP, which is what you use for abilities. Like there's just orbs. They just give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So like you don't have to worry about like, oh, now I've gone down this road. That's hours wasted. It's never going to be like that.
That's good because nothing drives me crazier than that. like I don't want to waste time in a game already, and the idea of like, great, my whole game's ruined. Like if I was playing Persona 5 Royal and didn't get the extra content, I'd be like, no.
Yeah. No, nothing like that at all. The thing though is you definitely want to play it on casual because it is fucking hard.
Mm.
The regular encounters are fine. The boss fights are so difficult. You will scream.
Yeah. I can.
But I think it's more rewarding that way. But yeah, definitely playing casual. Definitely turn off the English voices. They are terrible.
Oh, that's frustrating.
There's no reason on a game like coming out now that the voices should be as bad as they are.
No.
They should just let us do it at this point.
I would do it. Hire me.
Yeah, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
We have the equipment.
So that's my pitch to you, Dave. Bravely Default 2. Skip 1. And
pitch
second.
Something to you guys?
Okay.
This is a TV show, and it may be difficult for you to access, and I apologize. But I have recently fallen in love with Ted Lasso.
I've heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
It is so the basis of it is a Division II football coach from America gets hired by English Premier League soccer team, classic fish out of water type of thing. And Jason Sudeikis is the main character, Ted Lasso. It is funny, heartwarming, and I mean, it's something you realize in the first episode, so it's not a spoiler. Normally, the Ted Lasso type of character is a very positive thinking, doesn't let anything get him down type of thing. You've seen that in other media. That character is always a buffoon, basically. He's kind of dumb always. Ted is not stupid, and it makes this entire show run so well. I've watched 5 episodes so far. I'm looking forward to finishing the season, probably in the next week or so. And season 2 comes out on July 23rd. It's on Apple TV Plus, so it's something that you guys maybe can just get a trial run for. It's 10 episodes long, so it's pretty easy to run through. But really, it surprised me with how good it is. It is made by the same guy that made Scrubs, so it's got a little bit of that like quick humor feel to it. But it surprised me with how much I like it.
That's what I was actually going to ask about because I knew Bill Lawrence had worked on it, so I was curious. I mean, obviously, we're not expecting it to be like Scrubs, very different subject matter and whatnot, but it's kind of that quicker hitting dialogue. I mean, it's not like full on Aaron Sorkin, everybody is the smartest fucking person on the planet, but like witty banter, repartee, that's all there.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely, and it's quick banter. But again, like you said, it's not everybody's the smartest person in the room. Sometimes people are really stupid, and the way they play off those stupid people is fantastic as well. But again, it comes down to the main character is always happy and optimistic, but also realistic and very self-aware, which something that I like about it. It's very refreshing to see a character like that.
Is it like Haikyuu where like I'm going along with the drama and everything else and the humor, am I actually going to be invested in the sports itself? Whatever.
So far in the first 5 episodes, no. They have played 3 matches so far in the first 5 episodes total. I don't think that you get invested in that, but they may be building towards it. I would wish I could give a more full report, but I just started this like last week, so I've watched 5 episodes in the last few days. So I think it might build up towards it, but right now, no.
That was a problem with Mr. Cooper. If you guys remember that show.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper?
Yeah, and Coach, both of them.
Yeah,
sports
Coach.
Shows that don't really involve sports at all. Except the one time Mr. Cooper brought a volleyball player in to play basketball. And that was the best episode of the whole show because they had some sports.
Don't you remember when Hayden Fry took the Minnesota State Screaming Eagles to the national championship in 1993? I remember because he brought in his quarterback on the last play and surprised everybody. I actually remember that show really stupidly well for some reason.
So it seems interesting. If there's more sports, I would like it even more, but we'll see.
The most recent episode 5, had the most sports in it, and it was a very satisfying portrayal of the game. It was expected, but also good. Okay. I saw what was coming. I'm like, oh, he's going to do this. And they kind of fainted me a little bit on the direction, and then they ended up going that way, and I was happy with it.
It's interesting because Haikyuu also doesn't necessarily get off to the fastest of starts, so maybe it will develop that way. I mean, I guess you can let us know as you go further into the season, because there are certainly some volleyball action moments in the first 11 episodes, but they're not the majority. So maybe they're doing something similar where it's like, all right, build up the world, the characters, make you invested in this team, and then you'll be more interested in the sports action as opposed to just being like, watch this scripted sports game and care. It's probably a tough sell.
You can tell this is not real soccer action. Like, the lighting doesn't look like a stadium. The stadium looks small, but I don't think it detracts you from the game itself overall when they do portray it. So it's okay.
I mean, we're not talking like Key and Peele level looking out of place, are we?
We're not talking Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Will Smith is crossing over everybody and the court is literally the 3-point lines are touching at half court, that type of court.
Yeah.
It's better than that.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know if I expect it to be like top tier Bundesliga, but I don't want it to be a distraction at the very least.
No, I wouldn't call it a distraction. They do a decent job. Like, you can tell, and that's only because I've watched sports enough to know. Like, it's easy to tell when it's faked and when it's not, but it's good enough.
That's a pet peeve. So it's a pet peeve whenever pretty much anyone's playing video games on TV, because it's like this.
Yeah,
they're just sitting there being like, "Hi, honey, how was your day?" And it's like, "What game is that? What are you playing? That's stupid."
It's like that when people are working at the office and they're just like type. It's like,
yeah.
Do you not use a mouse? Like, I do that most of the time.
So that's annoying. And then, oh my god, bad sports action in a TV show.
Yeah,
it's terrible. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah, it detracts from the entire thing of like. It detracts from the entire movie or show when it's very bad sports action. But this one does not.
How do you feel about the basketball episode of The Office then?
It's actually not bad because Jim is like decent and Michael's awful, but that's like the point.
Yeah, so that's kind of the whole idea is that he's terrible and doesn't realize he's terrible and throws everybody off. But
and thinks Stanley is good, and Stanley's like,
yeah.
Yeah, well, so I think there was an episode of Wishbone where like I don't remember, but it's stuff like that where they're actually like kind of taking it seriously, but it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
There was a movie with Samuel Jackson as the coach.
Glory Road, I think.
No, a basketball? Oh, I mean, maybe.
It was about the West Texas, the first black team that won the national championship.
I thought it was called like Coach
Carter.
Carter, yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking maybe I was thinking of a different one.
Maybe.
Huh.
But it was terrible. And you're like, this is written by someone who thinks like who like looked up what basketball is. So they don't know it, but they're pretending to know basketball. So the coaching and all the lessons are really weird, and then the action is like everybody dunks it all the time. And that's like what serves as like a good play is if somebody dunks it, you know it's good.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's no other possible way to score except for a dunk, and when no one is around him wide open, that's it.
But Coach Carter is one of those really, really poor movies, in my opinion, where it's really just a drama with a sports coat of paint splashed on the outside, and then you can just tell. You can always tell. You don't have to be basketball aficionados like us to be like, that's not right at all. And why didn't you have somebody at least in the room, like the writer's room, who could tell you, like, that's not how basketball works? And anybody who knows that is going to be turned off by this.
Yep.
Well, that's what's important. Like in an action movie, like it's so much better. It's not necessarily a deal breaker, although it can be pretty close. If no matter how good the plot is, if the action sucks and the choreography sucks, like that's not good. So you would think with sports, you do the same thing.
Yeah.
Miracle on Ice, I feel like from my memory was a pretty good example of that. Like that was good hockey action.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they use their budget, a movie budget as opposed to a TV budget. TV sports ones are some of the hardest to do because their budget just isn't there. And it's unless they're just ripping footage from real football games like Coach used to.
Which was funny.
That really was. It was like, oh, Wisconsin's playing Minnesota. No, Western Texas is playing Minnesota State. Uh-huh.
But that's kind of the secret, and it works for TV because one of my favorite shows still is Sports Night. And that's obviously more about the anchor side, the ESPN Sports Center side. And they used clips of sports, as like highlights like you would in a real show. But that at least you could tell people who worked on that show knew sports. They talked about sports like it was sports. It wasn't just like, aha, the basketball player has the ball and he's doing a thing. And that type of like corny dialogue. You know what else did it really well, both with dialogue and with action? I think it's somewhat underrated now. The Longest Yard, both of them.
I haven't seen the old one. The new one they did a decent job. It was a little ridiculous at times, but I think that was part of the charm of the movie, though, was to be ridiculous in a way. So
how was Hoosiers? I remember it being pretty good, but I'm aware that it's an old movie and maybe has not aged well.
It was good, but I don't think it would be good today.
Yeah. I liked how they put emphasis on shooting, at least.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just everything's a dunk.
Well, I mean, back then, nobody really dunks. So.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Certainly not white boys in Indiana.
No.
No, I mean, I think the action would hold up okay. It's a very different game than what you see today, as sort of Dave alluded to. But at the very least, like you could tell, again, somebody worked on that. Multiple people worked on that who knew what they were doing with it.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I guess really the only time you see bad sports action, really bad sports action, is just a cheap show. Like, forget it. If you have like some kids, teenager Disney show channel, forget it. That sports action is going to be god awful because
I watched an episode. We were in Colorado for a night, and I watched an episode of the sequel series of That's So Raven, whatever that is. So it's Raven, but she's a mom now.
Oh.
And they did, it was weird. They did like this thing of like it was like something, if you want a piece of this pie. And like, I'm pretty sure this pie was like, if you want to hook up with me, she's talking to the coach of her kids team. And she's like, you better like, basically, if you want this ass, you're going to need to play my son. It was strange. Anyways, there was a girl who was actually pretty good at basketball. And I remember thinking, oh, like that stands out to me. It makes a difference, Well, that's why Uncle Drew is a movie you guys should actually watch, even though I hate Kyrie Irving more now than ever before in my life. It still is pretty awesome. And the action obviously is very good because Kyrie Irving is an NBA player.
And he's actually good at basketball.
He's extremely good.
Well, one of these days when Dave is up here, we should actually just watch that.
We should.
You're right. I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
or
maybe
when you're down
then we can review it in a very timely fashion.
Yes. I mean, even the old guys, they're older, but they were once NBA players, so it still looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guys who are in the NBA don't lose it. Like, they lose NBA level talent, but they don't lose talent.
You lose a half step relative to NBA players. You don't lose, of how old is Allen Iverson now? 51? I have no idea. 48? Whatever.
He came out of college. He was a freshman in college in 96, so he's 7-ish years older than us.
Okay, so he's maybe even like mid-40s.
Yeah.
That Allen Iverson is still a better basketball player than 99.8% of the planet.
Oh yeah.
Right now.
Yep.
He could just come in like regular fucking sneakers to a park and do just fine.
Oh.
Just fine. Your body has so much muscle memory built in. If you do that regularly at that level for that long, there's just again, like you're slower, you recover less quickly, whatever, but there's no way you forget.
Yeah.
Like
Nick Kroll is in that movie, and I feel like he's probably at the height of his popularity right now with that John Mulaney thing he does. Maybe.
Did, but yeah.
Is it? I thought is it over?
I think it was over even before the pandemic. They did a whole run of shows, and then
there's a podcast that they do, but the podcast might be over too. I just know Maisie's listening to it now. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it's new.
They're also both on the same animated show, the name of which I'm forgetting. So they do a ton of projects together because they're like besties. That was also probably derailed by John Mulaney going into rehab for 2 months.
Yeah, probably doesn't help.
You were thinking of Big Mouth, I think, is the
animated. That sounds familiar.
Yeah. To your point, though, I think it's important that like movies can't afford to fuck it up. You can't have a movie with sports central to it because you had the time to prepare for that. I would expect an actor who's going to be a lead in a movie that centers on sports to look capable in the same way I would somebody with like fight choreography. We talk about like actors and actresses doing months of training, whether it's like Swords for a movie with that kind of action or martial arts, and that's like the baseline expectation. You can't look like a fish out of water if it's a core component. On TV, I guess I get it because you're shooting seasons at once and there's not maybe that same commitment, but it does feel like we've been kind of lacking in that department for a long time.
And I think we just, as an audience, we expect so much more from our movies nowadays. I mean, I feel like you could get away with Michael J. Fox being an amazing player just because he was hairy and a 5'6" werewolf. And like, oh yeah, this guy's dominating the basketball court. Yep, he can jump and dunk because he's a werewolf now. And even now, it's like we would expect those scenes to look better and not have the fat pudgy kid, get 25 rebounds in a game or something, whatever it was in that movie. Like, it's just back then it was like, whatever. I mean, it's a sports game. When the game-winning shot goes, everybody rushes the court and cheers and dances. That's just how sports is.
He's a werewolf and only got 25 rebounds?
No. There's another kid on the team that it's been like, you can find articles on it. Like, there's this nameless player on the team that had one of the greatest games in movie history because he had like putbacks and assists. He's like, every time he's the one passing it, he's getting the rebound. Like, the kid probably had like 25 rebounds and like 20 assists or something in this game.
Draymond Green.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really funny.
I would agree with you overall. My only counterpoint is next March, White Men Can't Jump is going to be 30 years old.
That's crazy.
And I don't know if that's just because it corresponds with the rise of Michael Jordan as chronicled in The Last Dance, which we've talked to death, or what. Because, the game was evolving then, but the basketball in that movie holds up pretty damn well.
Would you watch a White Man Can't Jump remake with like Luka Doncic as Woody Harrelson?
No, because it's Luka. That's the only reason.
Right. I want my stars of the movie to be non-basketball players. If you want to have a Jesus Shuttleworth, you can still go that route. But
yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
I want to see. I mean, what would be a good today comparison? I don't know, like Channing Tatum.
Well, like Miles, what's his face, learned. I think he was historically a drummer for Whiplash, but like he spent a bunch of time training on the drums. We need actors who are going to spend a bunch of time. I'll train you, Hollywood. Dave and I and Chris, the trio, will coach or just we'll stand in.
We'll be the stunt doubles. Perfect.
Doc really wants to play. Doc won't stop insisting on playing.
Go away. God.
So I found an article. Scott Howard was the name of the kid from Teen Wolf, by the way, the other player.
That sounds familiar.
No, dang, this is the wrong thing. So this is what happens when I'm quickly doing this. Never
It
mind.
is really fun ever getting the chance to do that, though. Like, we talked about the Space Jam one. Anytime you can get a box score from a sports movie and look
Yes.
at how ridiculous the stats are. Now
Yeah,
you can do that with Haikyuu. Haikyuu actually does a stunningly good job of balancing its overall efforts. Like, you look at a box score from a game, and you're only seeing some of the points. You're not seeing every single point, but it's pretty well distributed. Like, everybody gets their moments, and there's leaders in certain categories. But I was shocked to see how balanced it was.
It's the only bad thing about Space Jam. I feel like they only account for like 8 points or something. It's very low when you actually see the ball go through the hoop.
Well, and not to mention the Monstars, it goes through the hoop like at least 24 times. Like you just see it go swish, 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 swish like that. It's like, this isn't good. Like you got a really big comeback here.
Yeah, they go on like a 40-0 run off camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And like, what was the it was 80? What was the final score of Space Jam?
76 or something thereabouts.
So like, there's a lot of points, and you see again, like Michael Jordan shoots it like 3 times, 4 if you count the dunk at the end. And it's like, where did all the rest of the points come from?
I mean, Lola was a baller, so that's probably it.
Yeah, but you only see her shoot like twice.
I think she has 2 points.
Yeah, it's true.
No, I'm sure there's a lot that goes on in the background, but like if I'm going to a movie called Space Jam, I want to see the game.
Yeah.
I'm pulling them up because I want to reference it.
Well, and you probably imagine that even there's gonna be even less basketball in the upcoming Space Jam.
So
yeah,
I have it up. There's obviously only the 5 Monstars.
Okay.
The Barkley and Ewing Monstars are responsible for 71 of their 77 points. The Larry Johnson one has 6. Muggsy Bogues and Sean Brandley do not take a shot and do not score.
Okay.
All their points are scored by dunk. Now, you might be asking yourself, how does that work to get to an odd number? They finished with 77 points, I think.
I don't think Marvin the Martian called a foul, so...
Unless they jumped behind the 3-point line and they counted that. It's unclear because we never really see it, so it could be that that's the case, like an NBA Jam style. We don't know. There's only 56 points on screen for the winning team, so 21 fewer. Jordan has 44 of that. Bugs has 10. Lola 8. Daffy and Taz 4. And they get a handful of points from the bench. 2 points apiece for Porky, Elmer, Pepe, who's dead now, and the Newman character whose name I forget.
Bill Murray doesn't score.
He just has an assist.
He doesn't shoot.
He doesn't even get an assist.
Have an assist?
It's a hockey assist.
Yeah, it's like a nice pass.
So he has a trillion.
Oh, he has a steal though, right? He steals it.
He's got zeros across the box score, at least in this one.
Someone steal. That was like the big deal. Is they steal the ball and then they come back down the court.
Was that Bugs?
Maybe it's Bugs and Bill Murray. Maybe it's like a hockey steal because I feel like he distracts someone or something.
I think Bugs has 3 steals. He's the only player listed with any steals. I remember the one on the little motorbike. Like he looks like a postman.
That can't be legal, right?
I mean, if that's the one thing that can't be legal, then I don't know where we're going to start.
What about the 2 characters who like blow the teeth out of that? Like there's not a stat for that. You know, and that's it's the intangibles that really stood out to me in that movie. Like, you know, the Chris Paul effect. Those 2 characters with guns who I'm forgetting their names. You know, that mattered.
Mm-hmm. There was only 1 shot missed on camera the entire movie.
Which one was that?
I think it was blocked or something. I think Daffy gets somebody when they're going out for something or another. I forget what exactly.
I mean, he kind of just stole it out of the air, if I'm remembering properly.
But Toon Squad is 39 of 39 from the field. The Monstars are 34 of 35.
Yeah.
So this is why Zach Lowe recently, or a while back, had he never watched Space Jam as a kid. This basketball aficionado, Zach Lowe, never watched Space Jam as a kid. So he wrote like a running diary of the movie, basically. It was just like, what the fuck is this movie? This is terrible. It was great.
Yeah, I mean,
it was fantastic. This makes no sense. I don't like it.
We spent about 25 minutes extolling Hollywood and for TV and movie to give us more realistic sports action, and we all love fucking Space Jam, which is one of the worst sports movies probably ever made.
Yeah.
It's cartoonish by nature, so I mean some of that is to be expected, but still,
There's like one scene where Jordan is like, I think doing like a spin move and like dribbling, and like it's so clear to me that like there's no one around him at all, and he's just like in a gym, and because that's probably what actually happened. But it looks so bad. It's like, this is Jordan practicing, and we're gonna put it in the movie.
That's why when we were talking about Space Jam 2, you were like, I really hope they stick with basketball and it's not some other sport. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, they could switch it. It wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I want it to stay basketball and needs to. It's got LeBron in it. It'd be stupid to. But it isn't really that much basketball, actually.
How have they not come up with, field, I don't know, some sort of football type Space Jam where, a very likable quarterback has to save the world by playing football? Like, boom. Like, this movie writes itself, basically.
I wrote that in high school, or God, not in high school,
yesterday.
Grade school. I told you guys about that. It was called Space Down.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You did.
We talked about it on the show.
And it was the football version.
Who was your quarterback?
God.
I don't know if he cast it. Who would you cast, considering?
Probably
in the
like
90s, it would have to be like Dan Marino or something.
I would do like Peyton Manning, because
Peyton was who came to mind for me too.
He's likable, he's really funny, and it could be like I don't know, guys, I don't play football anymore, and like he's supposed to go out and like Eli can make a cameo, but then he gets killed off screen. That'd be cool.
And then all of a sudden, Tom Brady comes in as the starter for the other team. The monster.
Yeah, that would be fine. The Axis of Evil on the other team, led by Tom Brady, who's an alien.
Yep. That would explain everything, especially how he can win a Super Bowl at 46.
Yeah, I don't know if he would sign off on that. It seems like his PR team would have something to say on that one. But
this actually, he's like leaning into the villain. Like at that point, he's okay with it.
Maybe he'd have fun with it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I'm hoping Michael Jordan comes in and make a cameo as like the leader of the.
No way.
I mean, just for the fact of like he's gonna be like, yeah, I am really the bad guy or something. But the good guys have to win, and so Michael Jordan won't take a loss, so he won't be in it.
He won't be in it for that kind of a purpose. If there was a cameo, it'd be some kind of throwaway or a quick humor thing, which I could maybe see. I still think it's extremely unlikely. But now, since Michael's like, giving eulogies for Kobe and some other stuff where he's a little bit back in the public eye, maybe he's softened just enough. Probably not, but maybe.
Still see the only way he makes a cameo is if he blocks LeBron's game-winning shot. That's about it.
I could see him being okay with doing the winning shot on LeBron's team. I don't think he has to be directly adversarial with LeBron.
What I like is if LeBron shoots all of his scenes, goes to see it in theaters, didn't know that they shot and edited Jordan over him.
It's CGI Jordan. It's a prank. All right, here's my question, though.
The greatest con ever, by the way.
If the final play of the movie is a LeBron pass to a Jordan jumper for the win, who says no?
LeBron.
Does he?
I don't know.
Because his legacy is all about making the right basketball play, even if it was to his most hated rival, even though I don't think they see each other that way.
Everyone in their stupid ass minds is like, see, LeBron's too pussy to take the last shot. There you go. And that's like, that will be a cornerstone of people's arguments.
I know. He might be okay with it. LeBron is, cocky for sure. You have to be in the conversation of greatest ever. Yep. Everyone that we know who's in that conversation is, they have the confidence needed for that. He might be down for that. But I like that he's reading like the pamphlet, that they give out for like the theater, and he's in the movie and it's getting near the end, and he flips it over and he sees produced by Michael Jordan. He's like, wait a minute, looks up, Jordan's in. LeBron did not know these scenes were being filmed.
What movie theater have you gone to that gives you a playbill?
I don't know, Dave. That's what I needed for the scenario.
And they hit the "I believe I can fly." Like, wait, what? Why? Why you can't bring his song in? He's been changed since back then.
And then it flashes back to when Jordan is with his dad saying like, no, I'm going to grow up to be in the NBA. And then clearly different, like little kid and different dad, like obviously. And then I'm going to beat LeBron James at his own game. And then it flashes back forward, Dave. Jordan blocks LeBron.
Oh, yeah, that would be how it would finish.
Who says no?
Who says no? They both look great. Except for LeBron.
Except him. Is he so selfless of a teammate that he'd be willing to do that? Not so selfless now, is he? All right, well, we'll have plenty more on Space Jam 2 as July approaches.
But Dave, imagine that could like build into their own like Space Jam universe. We have a sequel where LeBron has to get revenge on Michael Jordan. They cast, like Muggsy Bogues, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Uncle Drew. It's in that universe now too.
Do we need to have a universe for every movie?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a stupid question.
Yeah, that's the thing now, unfortunately. Marvel has now basically opened that Rubicon and we can't go back across it.
Yep, it's true.
All right, well, that is the end of this episode. A strange turn. We went from JRPGs to sports, movies, and TV to Space Jam once again.
To LeBron versus Jordan again.
I guess the question is, how much is it going to take before Space Jam gets banned before its release? We still have almost 3 months to go. Is it going to get to Last Dance status where it becomes a forbidden topic until the movie releases?
But to be fair, I didn't really... Well, I mean, it got to Space Jam 2, but I just started with Space Jam 1.
I think it's still the same problem. It sort of is a bigger problem when you consider that predates all of this by hundreds of episodes. All right, that's it for the episode. In between shows, you can find us at our website, objectionnetwork.com, or at youtube.com/objectionnetwork for new videos 7 days a week. See you next time.